General Hospital will reveal that Isaiah has long been Sidwell's ace in the hole, an insider planted at the perfect moment to monitor his activities in Port Charles. Under the guise of a trustworthy individual, Isaiah quietly tracked Sidwell's every move, reporting critical information whenever necessary. Sidwell always believed Isaiah was loyal, a pawn indispensable in his network. Every task assigned was completed flawlessly by Isaiah, further solidifying Sidwell's belief that he was nothing more than an obedient follower. However, even Sidwell could not have anticipated that the one person he trusted most would eventually betray him. Things were going according to plan until Isaiah realized Sidwell was starting to approach Jordan in a way he could not accept. Previously, Sidwell had been solely focused on his business dealings and underground transactions, never showing any personal interest in anyone in such an overt manner. But now, as Isaiah watched Sidwell stand too close to Jordan at the Metro Court bar, his gaze laden with implication and his smile possessive, he immediately understood that things had gone too far. To Sidwell, Jordan was no longer just an acquaintance or a passing ally, he was targeting her, and that left Isaiah unable to remain silent. Discomfort welled up inside Isaiah as he observed from a distance, his hand gripping the glass tighter as Sidwell's gaze scanned Jordan with false concern. Sidwell had his own way of charming and controlling others, and Isaiah knew it better than anyone. But this time, the target was not a stranger, it was Jordan. She had no idea that she had become the subject of Sidwell's dangerous game, and that only made Isaiah more uneasy. A simmering anger began to rise within him as he saw Jordan smile back at Sidwell's words, completely unaware of the underlying intentions behind his seemingly harmless gestures. Isaiah was usually a man who could control his emotions, capable of completing his role without exposing any flaws. But this time, everything was different. Something within him changed the moment he saw Sidwell's behavior. His loyalty to Sidwell now wavered, replaced by betrayal. He couldn't stand idly by as Sidwell continued on his path, and he couldn't let Jordan become a pawn in the scheming world of the man he had once served. His anger flared stronger than ever when he realized that, from this moment on, he was no longer Sidwell's subordinate. He would betray him, not only to end his dark plans but to protect Jordan, the only person he never wanted to see caught up in Sidwell's brutal world. At the same time, at Windermere, Sidwell was quietly consolidating his position, building a protective network to ensure no one could easily reach him. He was not the type to act without careful preparation. Since arriving in Port Charles, Sidwell had quickly forged relationships with the underground forces in the area, people willing to be loyal to him as long as the price was right. He used money, information, and even threats to control those who could pose a danger to him, creating an almost impenetrable security system. Secret meetings were held behind closed doors at Windermere, where Sidwell constantly calculated his next steps to strengthen his power. He understood that in a city like Port Charles, relying solely on a legitimate facade wouldn't be enough to survive. Powerful figures like Sonny, or even external forces, could become enemies if he wasn't careful. That's why Sidwell had aligned himself with those who held influence in the criminal world, arms dealers, money launderers, and individuals who could manipulate the legal system. He needed to ensure that if anyone tried to overthrow him, the cost would be too great. However, Sidwell had no idea that there was someone always watching his every move. Lucky, who had once faced the decision of whether to let Jason finish Sidwell off, still couldn't shake the guilt he felt. When Jason pointed a gun at Sidwell, all it would have taken was a nod from Lucky, and everything could have ended right there. But he hesitated. He believed that by keeping Sidwell alive, he could find another way to control him. However, since Sidwell's arrival in Port Charles and his rise to power, Lucky increasingly felt that he had made a grave mistake. That obsession gnawed at him daily, unable to let go of the fact that Sidwell was growing more dangerous with each passing day. Every move Sidwell made at Windermere fell into Lucky's watchful eyes, but he knew that merely observing wasn't enough. If he didn't act at the right moment, Sidwell would become even more dangerous, and once he had enough power, no one would be able to stop him. Laura had informed him of Sidwell's new plans, which only heightened Lucky's concerns. She understood what her son was worried about, but she also knew that if he didn't act soon, Port Charles might pay the price. What Sidwell was secretly preparing was not just to protect himself, he was laying the foundation for a new power that could threaten the fragile balance of the town. And Lucky, whether he wanted to or not, had to face the truth that he was one of the few who could stop it before it was too late. In Alexis's office, a heavy atmosphere hung in the air as Sonny sat quietly, absent-mindedly tapping his fingers on the table. Ever since he learned that Sidwell had arrived in Port Charles, he couldn't ignore the growing sense of unease in his heart. His years of facing dangerous enemies had honed Sonny's ability to assess threats from the very first signs, and with Sidwell, he had no doubt, he was not just a new player in town, he was someone with a brutal past filled with illicit deals, money laundering, and even mysterious assassinations of traitors. Sonny knew that if Sidwell were allowed to gain a foothold here, no one would be able to control what he might do next. The door to the office opened, pulling Sonny out of his thoughts as Laura stepped in, her face tight with tension. Both Sonny and Alexis quickly recognized that she brought urgent news. Without wasting time on pleasantries, Laura immediately got to the point, her voice sharper than usual. She warned Alexis about Sidwell, reminding her of the troubling actions he had taken in the past and expressing concern that with his establishment at Windmere, things could soon spiral out of control. Alexis, always the logical one, couldn't hide her worry upon hearing what Laura had revealed. She knew that someone like Sidwell couldn't just show up in Port Charles seeking a peaceful life. He surely had his own agenda, and if no one intervened, the consequences could be dire. Sonny clenched his fist, his gaze darkening. He had dealt with people like Sidwell before, those who manipulate, use the weak as pawns, and when the time came, wouldn't hesitate to eliminate anyone in their way. The atmosphere in the room grew tense as they all realized that Sidwell was not just a stranger to the town. He was a dark force quietly infiltrating every corner of Port Charles, and if no one stopped him, sooner or later, he would become a real threat. Laura looked at Sonny, then at Alexis, waiting for a plan or a solution that could help them take back control before Sidwell solidified his power. But what no one expected was that the one who could put an end to Sidwell was neither Sonny, Jason, nor any of them. The only person capable of overthrowing him was Isaiah, the one who had once been part of his ranks but was now ready to betray him in order to protect what he valued most. No one knew that Isaiah had been quietly acting, dismantling Sidwell's network, preparing for the moment of his downfall. While everyone else was still trying to figure out how to deal with him, Isaiah had crossed the line, no longer a servant to Sidwell but the one who would end it all. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes to explore the tense developments in the underground confrontation between Isaiah and Sidwell. As loyalty turns into betrayal, every move Isaiah makes is fraught with danger. How will he manage to hide his true intentions while still working within Sidwell's ranks? Will the information he gathers be enough to dismantle the empire Sidwell has worked so hard to build in Port Charles? Or will he make a mistake, leaving traces behind and becoming the next target in Sidwell's ruthless list? Meanwhile, Lucky is torn between acting immediately or continuing to wait for the right moment. His past decisions have become a heavy burden on him as Sidwell's presence in Port Charles is a direct consequence of his hesitation. Will Lucky redeem himself by stopping Sidwell before it's too late? Or will he once again be trapped in the gray area of right and wrong, allowing Port Charles to face irreversible losses? Not only Isaiah and Lucky, but also Sonny and Alexis will enter an uncompromising battle with the dark force that is gradually expanding. What will Sonny do when he sees someone like Sidwell continue to challenge his position? Will he act first to eliminate the threat, or will he patiently wait for the right time? Alexis, with her sharp mind and legal connections, may find Sidwell's weakness and exploit it before he has a chance to strengthen his hold on Windmere. All these questions will be gradually revealed in the upcoming episodes, as each character is forced to make their own choice. The inevitable showdown between Sidwell and those who oppose him will soon erupt, and once all the pieces are in place, who will emerge victorious? Keep following to discover unexpected twists, dark schemes, and stunning turns that will forever change the fate of Port Charles.